What up, everybody? Welcome to the In Off the Bench podcast, the Grit and Grind Show. We got another good one. We got Fico Gomez of the Southwest Florida Sharks. He's the owner and coach. He was a player. He's done it all. Just really got him in the middle of a phone call with sponsorships. So, like, he's constantly on the grind, constantly doing it. I'm glad to have him on. But before we get his story, before we talk to him about all things United Grid League action, we got to plug some sponsors. Chinook Seedery. Whether you're on the field or in the boardroom signing deals, Chinook helps you get the job done. Memphis City Designs. Get your brands, gear, and logos on everything from shoes to underoos. It's a cold season. It's cold here in Tampa Bay. I got my In Off the Bench, 50% polyester, 50% cotton, nice pillowy comfort. I mean, you just look at it and it breathes and just exudes comfort. How could you not want to put it on? Go grab your color and your favorite teams, your logos, get it all from Memphis City Designs. Relief Chiropractic. I can't stress this enough. It's a new year. Make a new you. Go see Dr. Vic Robinson at Relief Chiropractic. He's got magic hands. I'm telling you, he's rejuvenating people. He's adding years to their lives. If you go see him, I promise you, you're going to wake up feeling 100% better, and you're going to want to go back. So make sure you visit him. And finally, Old Dominick Distillery. Experience 150 years of tradition in the heart of downtown Memphis. From bourbon to vodka, whiskey to gin, Old Dominick's got you covered. Stop in today for a tour or to pick up your favorite bottle. Ain't nothing better than to break this cold chill than a nice glass of bourbon. Go get it. Tell them In Off the Bench sent you. And with that, we got to start this podcast. We got to get to the biggest interview in podcasting this week with Southwest Florida coach, owner, the man of the hour, the guy who does it all, Mr. Fico Gomez. Fico, what's up, brother? How we doing?
What's up, man? How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm great. I'm great. I've talked to you on the phone. It was nice to talk to you, but now putting a face with the name and the voice, it's so refreshing, man. You're looking good, man. You're looking good, man. I said 2025. What new things are on the horizon just for you personally for 2025? Like any resolutions, any manifestations you got going on?
For me personally, yes, like 2024. I mean, I always stay pretty fit, but 2024 was a busy year. And it kind of backed out a little bit of, I'm still pretty fit, but I want to lose a few pounds in here and there. I'm normally around 220, 225, and I'm about 240 now. So it's a little heavy for me. So probably shed some pounds, but yeah, still, that's probably my main personal goal, besides just doing my regular, daily lives with the kids and work and all that stuff.
Man, the kids, dude. I mean, I hate to use it like it's the typical like dad excuse, but like kids are game changers, man, when it comes to fitness. It's like they throw a wrench into all the plans and all the goals that you might have, but it's good. It gives you a chance to redirect, refocus. But obviously, you get to a point where you go, man, like I got to do better. And what a better time than the beginning of the year to do that. So, but with that, man, we got to get into your story, your journey, all things, Southwest Florida Sharks, because it was a good season. And we'll get into the season itself and what's going on next year. But I kind of want to get your journey. So how do you, where are you from, and like how do you get into fitness? Was it sports as a kid and it just kind of generated into lifting weights, or were you not a sports guy and you found fitness like later?
No, I'm originally from Puerto Rico. That's where I grew up. Then when I came to the state, it was for college. I played baseball all my life. And then I played college baseball, and that's when I went to on a baseball scholarship. And that's when I came to the States. So did I lift weights and things like that? Yeah, for baseball. But you know how back in the day for baseball, it's like, oh, you cannot do too much for this. So your shoulder and so it's really not much on that. It was just high reps, a lot of bands, a lot of squatting was actually decent because, we do legs, but anything was like arms or chest or press, and we were not too much on those. But yeah. And that's kind of how I started in there. After I was done with college baseball, then I found CrossFit. I actually was a Groupon. I paid for Groupon for CrossFit and loved it. So once I got in, loved it. I have no idea what a snatch was or um, a clean and jerk or any of that stuff. I could barely actually I couldn't do a pull up when I started. So and fell in love, and that was back in 2011.
Man, that's when you talk about OGs of CrossFit, 2011, that puts you right there, man, at the cusp of the beginning. I'm kind of right there with you in a sense. Like our stories are very similar with baseball, going to college, playing ball, and then when you're wrapped it up, you got to find something that feels the competitive void. And I went into a CrossFit gym because I saw a bunch of maniacs running around my apartment. And I was like, where are these folks going? What are they doing? I see them every day at every hour. It's like clockwork. And so I eventually fell into a gym, much like yourself, and didn't know anything. Didn't know, like I had an idea just because of I had a football background too. I knew some of the Olympic lifts. I knew like power lifts and stuff like that. But as far as like being able to do a butterfly pull up or to be able to snatch, appropriately, I couldn't do any of those things.
Yeah, and the
So
gymnastics, like being upside down, to
oh
me, like
man,
the first time I was trying to get upside down to a wall, it was like I don't know what this is. Like people ask me because now the wall walks came back. Like they used to be the scale version, like a handstand push up. Like this is what you do, and this is what you do in class. And now once they put it into the open and things like that, people are like, "Oh, you're good at wall walks." I'm like, "Yeah, I was years just doing that.
yeah,
I
that
couldn't
was
do
all.
this
That was it.
push-ups." That's-
I mean, it's in some regards, I think it's harder to do a wall walk than
yes, it is.
if you can actually do a handstand push up because it's just so much and so much tension and it's a lot. But you get in, you find CrossFit, and eventually, I guess, like that's how you find this bridge and this connector to what was the Grid League.
Mhm.
The Grid League itself started as the MPGL, big money, big financial, big grandiose idea, and then it eventually dissolved and was reborn into this very regional Florida Grid League where all the teams were based out of Florida, and it was good. And now we're to a point where we're the United Grid League, and you've got teams in Atlanta and now a team in Houston and possibly a team somewhere else. And it's starting to branch away from that. Where, in this evolution did you learn about grid?
So I heard about Grid a few times prior when it was the pro league. I had a friend, which actually he's a player now, um, Alex Oliveras, that he went to a combine back in the day, and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" Well, but I didn't consume it really, but I kind of had an idea, and then I moved from North Carolina to here, Southwest Florida, where I live now in Fort Myers, and I saw an ad to a tryout to join the Grid League, and I didn't think I could do it because I was actually flying. I used to travel for work, and then I came in, uh, and the day before I was flying in, and then went pretty much directly to the combine that they had here. But yeah, that's how I find out. So the Florida Grid League, obviously, and now the United Grid League. Originally, it was through a Facebook ad that I saw. Then I came in. Nobody knew that I was coming in to the combine. And I didn't know anybody, so I just showed up and performed.
So you started off as a player. How long were you a player in the Grid League before you transitioned to the next role?
If I'm not mistaken, 6 years,
6 years.
6 or 7 years. Um, well, yeah, 6 years. I was a player. I was a strength specialist, um, and most of my strength specialty was squatting. So that's my strength. I have big old legs. So he's squatting, front squat, overhead squats, everything related to squatting. That was me.
Wow, that's quite the you go from traveling a lot with work. You see a combine or a tryout. You go to the tryout, and you're
Mhm.
like, all right, I'm now the guy who does all the heavy weights.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. When you look at this evolution and this, expansion of the United Grid League, what are your thoughts? I mean, there apprehension? Is there fear that is this going to be sustainable, or is there like very like a lot of excitement because like this is the start of something very big?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely excitement. I don't think the way that this league is set up, the way that Ruby and Matter are doing this right now, is very smart, and I think it's the way to go. Obviously, that's kind of why now I own the ownership, or I'm part of the ownership of the team. Is because I saw their vision. The way they're doing it, the way we're trying to scale, not just throwing money like they did in the past. We're gonna be conservative because, and I told this to anybody, once you go into a grid match, you're hooked. Doesn't matter if you know any fitness. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you care about if you worked out, you don't watch sports, all that stuff. And I see it all the time when people just bring people like their family. Like my mom came in and she was just hooked. Like, and it's for all ages. Like my 4 year old, he sees me do CrossFit competitions. He doesn't get excited for those. When he goes see grid, he's like, oh my god, excited. Last time, actually not too long ago, when he saw Chelsea do a backhand spring, he wanted to do that and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of cool. I think the excitement of the sport um, uh, brings people together. Doesn't matter the level of fitness or if you like sports or not. It's just entertaining.
Yeah, it's it's there are different fitness events and different fitness leagues out there, but this is unique in and of itself because of the you have so many different, genuine like components where you have a strength based component, but you also have a body weight component, and you don't necessarily have to be the person that's good at all of those things. You can be one person that's good at just that one thing, and you have a spot on a team. You have males and females racing with each other, competing with each other on a team, but also you have males competing against females on opposing teams. And like that is something that is unique about United Grid League that other sports don't do. Even in the CrossFit realm, like you do have team competitions, but it's very much a lot of it is, single gender oriented, and or if it's a team event, it's the females go first, then the males go. And it's very rare where you get an intermixture of the females and the males competing against vice versa, or maybe like two females on a team competing against two males on the opposing teams. So it's very cool, and I appreciate that when it comes to the grid, in the league and the rules and the structure itself. But how does someone like you go from being a player, strength specialist, a strong dude, to coaching and to ownership? Was coaching first? Was owning first? What came first after the player? Did you do it all at one time?
So it was pretty much all at one time. But when I came into the league, I'm one of those, and just even in baseball, um, I'm not super athletic, or like I don't have the God given talents that some other people have. Let's put it that way. But I do work hard, but I also very smart. So when I realized that I was going to be part of the grid, uh, team, I kind of watched all the videos. I watched the previous races, I watched the old races, I watched the National Pro League stuff, and I watched so few people go into the grid and then like play like they're always like they've been there before. It's always hard. I actually was one of those players came in and play and perform from the day one from the first race, just because I was done. But what I'm trying to get to is like I'm always trying to find a way to make the team better, a way to make myself better, little details here and that. So as the years progress, I kind of turn into what we call a captain slash assistant coach for Nick Habish, which was the previous coach and owner. So I will help him game plan. I will help him um, coach the team. I will be on the sidelines, like, hey, you don't go now, like moving things, player, making sure everybody knew what to do. So I kind of was a little bit assistant coaching at that point. But last year was my first year as a head coach and owner. And I did both at the same time.
Man, that's how do you balance it all, dude? Like I feel like just being a player is a lot on top of like your personal life, but
Mhm.
then you throw being the coach and the player and your personal life and a job. Like how do you do all of it? And do you find it to be exhausting? Is it like something you still enjoy doing? Because I know when I get busy, like the first thing that I get aggravated with is all these other little things that
Mhm.
I consider like working out. Like I love to work out, but like the first thing that happens when you get really busy is you start dreading the things that you love. And like, are you at a point? It seems like that maybe that's not happening. You're able to balance it all. So, I mean, the question is really is like, how do you do it?
Honestly, I don't know, but it is a lot. Yeah, I have obviously a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old. I do have a couple businesses. I do have now a coach role. I like to stay fit. My workouts don't have changed. So when I used to work out 6 times a week and I used to do 2 to 3 hours, now we're going back to 1 hour, and that's what I have. So that has changed, and this is why I say I gained a couple weight and all that stuff, because my eating habit is still the same, which is not bad. It's just eating a lot, and it's
Yeah.
just not the same thing. Um, and then with my kids and my businesses, obviously I have a lot of help on those that allow me to. And then I also have another owner um, on the Sharks. His name is Concepcion. He has taken a lot of stuff from the ownership side of things, like back end stuff. Like he's not a forward facing, but he has taken a lot of the stuff. So I guess I have a lot of people that help and trust that it will be do a good job. An example of that, I do have a business in Puerto Rico. I literally, I don't know, I dedicate an hour to three, between 1 to 3 hours a week on that business, just the way that it runs now. It's
Yeah.
just because I have people that trust. So I guess just putting people where they're um, where they'll be successful, and that's the same thing I do with coaching. Um, and I don't change it. I think the grit, actually, I enjoy coaching way more than I thought I would. And I'm excited, and it's taking me more time than I thought, but I don't mind it. I'm really happy. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy talking to the players. I enjoy game planning. I enjoy the pressure and the adrenaline that comes with it, and all that stuff.
You're you're a natural leader, man. You're a business owner, which makes you have to be a leader, and it seems like it's something that you enjoy. So being a coach of a team and an owner, it just seems like that's a natural fit for someone like you. Um, when you look at the ownership part and the coaching part, is there a difference to you between those 2 roles, or do the players look at you, the same no matter what title you have next to you? Because I know a lot of times being an owner, you've gotta make decisions, especially at the end of the season, like who's coming back, who's staying, who do you want to come back, who do you want to stay? And as a coach, those conversations might sound a little bit different than they would as an owner. So, is there a difference between you as the coach and you as an owner, or are you just the same guy?
No, no, it's well, I am the same guy, but I do have to wear different hats,
Mhm.
and that comes up depending on what we're talking about. So, um, yeah, it just different things. So some things may be wanting to tell you something. It might be related to a coaching, and the majority of the time when I'm talking to players, I'm talking to them as a coach. Rarely I
Yeah.
talk to them as an owner, and it's because there's right now obviously the players, they don't get compensation or anything like that, so there's no contracts. There's none of that, so I don't have to deal with that as the owner that much. But when we are making decisions as a league, the ownership team, you do have to change, because some things, um, when they make changes or you make a change, and it could be a change to a raise, it could be a change to a rule, it could be something, so, or a, I don't know, or where we're going to be doing the playoffs, or where we're going to be doing things. Sometimes you think about things as a coach first, because that's kind of what your feelings like, oh, will that allow me to win? Would that
Right.
benefit my team as a coach? And then you realize, no, you need to put your owner's hat, and we need to make sure what benefits the league. in there. And that's when I see the biggest difference is when we have the ownership meetings and all that stuff. That's where you need to wear both hats. When it comes into the players and the day of the match and all that stuff is pretty much the same.
It's probably good, man. You wear these different hats, you know what role you have to be or what lens you have to look through for, certain situations. And, obviously the goal is to win. And I would say this season, 2024, this past season, like you guys won at a very high clip. You had a great regular season, undefeated during the regular season. But what I would ask is, there was you filled the team, and I think when I talked to you on the phone, I agreed with your philosophy on how you should build a team, and that's, well, why would you not go after veteran players that know the sport, know the rules, know how it's supposed to go. But there was a lot of backlash as far as you doing that. So, like, why do you think that was? I mean, it seems like that's what worked for you guys, and it was beneficial. It seems like it makes common sense to do it that way. But why was there so much negative like feelings towards you doing that? I don't understand.
Honestly, I have no idea. To me, when I when I did it, and it was like a no brainer. I actually was wondering why nobody else was doing it, or what. Like I thought it was like the thing to do. Like I just did it without really realizing it. And things like it just makes the most sense to me. So I took ownership last year, very close to the end of signing period, because they were still making some decisions. The previous owner, what he was gonna do, and things like that. So I took kind of very like nobody was signed at that moment. Nobody has re-signed, all that stuff. So my first was, hey, what's the best way to put a team together? And a lot of people thought that I was gonna go be like rebuild the team, like, oh, I'm just gonna start from scratch and rebuild my team and all that stuff. But the previous year, I thought we have one of the best teams also. So 2023, we have an amazing team as the Sharks. We only lost twice against the Aces, and they won it all. And they were a really good team. So
they didn't lose a single match that entire season, right? So like
we only lost against them. And the one match that and this still it's not it bothers me anymore, but we had it won the regular season match against the Aces. We would have won that one. It came down to a sprint relay. We had a huge lead, but then we couldn't do the burpees to rain. And then they caught up and whatever. But we had a really good team. So I was like, if I re-sign the majority of these players and just add a couple pieces, we will be unstoppable. And that's kind of was my mentality. So let's re-sign as many players as I can from this current team and see if then I can find some pieces that we're missing. That was my game plan.
It worked, and the players, at least the ones that I talked to David Blatt on Tuesday, and he mentioned, he was like, look, I no disrespect or no like ill will to any of the teams that I played for in the past, but like this team was different. This Sharks team was really good, and not that the other ones weren't, but it felt different. Like the culture was different. So I tell you that because I think, that's important for a coach and an owner to hear, that his players outside of his, out from in front of his face are saying like the culture's good. Like we are in a good spot. We appreciated what, you created there. But when you look at the 2024 season, you come up short. We will say that. But, as you recap and reflect on that season, what are your biggest takeaways from the 2024 season?
Yeah, first of all, I want all my if I were able to re-sign all the players that we had, the 20 players that we had, I will do it again. I think we had a great team. They kind of came together. We had the same goal. We were like a family, let's put it that way. So they will, before the match, they will eat breakfast together. We will go out to dinners. We will go out to trampoline parks. I know David said that. We would go out to different places and have a good time as well. Um, and yeah, so the 2024 season was obviously not a disappointment. I think every single aspect of the season was a success until the championship match. Everything else was a success. And when I'm talking about from the player engagement, social media growth, ownership, accountability, what we brought to the league, um, obviously performing. We were undefeated until the championship match. We went to Vegas. We were the only team that, well, not only team. There's a few teams, but the team that we brought the majority of our players to Vegas. So there's a lot of success everywhere you looked at it, besides that championship match.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this, if you look at every season in terms of being a good or bad season, and the only metric you look at is whether you won it all, like I would say most of the time you're going to be disappointed because you're not going to win most of the time. Um, but what I think is fascinating, and kudos to you. You take over ownership. You have a plan. You keep a basically a foundation of good players, and then you bring in the pieces that you need. You go undefeated in the regular season. You're the number one seed going into the playoffs. You don't have to worry about this end of the regular season match that determines anything. You get a bye. You get to chill out. You don't have to worry about that. You get a hungry team in that first round of the playoffs, and you take care of business. But then you come up short, and sometimes that's the biggest way to bounce back from, or to win it all, is to come up short the year before. So that could be what you guys are building for this year, and it could be the motivation your team needs to push you over the edge. But going back to the championship match against Atlanta, what when you look at that, was there anything different that you would do, or is there any reason why Atlanta was just the better team that day? Because I mean, obviously, like the components and the events, and the races themselves, like all of the you know things that were asked of you, you guys could do. It was just a matter of speed. Who
Yeah.
did it faster? So when you look back on there, was there anything different that you would have done, or was it just Atlanta's day that day?
I mean, there's a few things that probably should have done differently. Um, the game plan, I normally give the game plan for the matches to my players way ahead of time. For this particular championship match, I didn't, and it was just because I was doubting on what I was going to do in there. So I would rather, that's the first one. I would have given them to me ahead of time, way ahead of time, the match game plan on that. Two, that match per se, not saying that it's not a good match for us, but it's just a weightlifting in it. And the Atlanta Wild, without a doubt, I mean, they were the strongest team on the league.
Very strength based race, like race format. And looking at it as just a spectator, I looked at that, and I looked at both teams, and I said myself, I said I think Atlanta has an edge just because of the format, and like I know the strength that those guys. Not that you guys aren't strong, you guys are plenty strong enough to do the weights, but it's a matter of efficiency and speed, and that kind of was an edge for them. But outside of that, and you guys put on a great performance. Something you should definitely be proud of, and something that you guys can carry momentum going into this 2025 season.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is the message to the team at the very end? Once everything's wrapped up, you guys fall short. What do you say to the team? After that, I'm always curious what the coach speak is to players when things are good, but also what does the coach speak when things didn't go as you'd hoped?
Yeah, no, on that moment, I kept it very short and to the point. Right after that, I was like, um, kind of super proud of them for the season overall. We came up short of our goal, but that's kind of should not be the end of all. Everything else was a success, and pretty much telling thank you for their commitment and their uh, time, the dedication. So they do dedicate a lot of time to this. It's not like they just come in and do nothing. So they dedicate time. They get to money into this. They travel. A lot of them are traveling. So it's kind of much appreciation on them. And pretty much that I love them. And I do. And I was so proud of them. That match, again, there's mistakes that were done on, and we're talking about gameplay. I made a mistake also on the, not a mistake, just it could have been a different strategy. I could have selected, for example, David or Quentin Embrioso doing the ring muscle up. That's one of the ringer points. If we would have won that ringer point, then we could have actually won that match. Just little details there that could have changed. But besides that, we lost, I think, 7 races in a row, if I'm not mistaken, and they were still ready to battle and continue, and nobody fought, and nobody got into each other's faces, and nobody got like, obviously they were not happy. I'm not saying I wanted to celebrate them, but they were like, just keep performing, keep grinding it, all that stuff. And just that right there just tell me anything that I need to know about this team. I was like, I saw that, and obviously that time I was kind of obviously upset, and Kawhi could have done better, all that stuff. But after I reflect on it, I'm like, dude, this team just going through that, it could be that they even turn into a dynasty, because that's like they will battle. It doesn't matter how many punches they got in the face.
And that's what you look for as a coach, especially like if you can teach a lot of things as a coach. You can teach, strength. You can teach the actual movement. You can teach the race formats. You can teach all that. What you can't teach is someone's effort. And when you lose 7, races in a row and you're still getting after it, like it's 0-0, like that's a good sign of what you've built. So I guess the takeaway is that as you have a team, you have a mindset, that is unbreakable, man. And that's really hard to find and hard to do, especially when you're trying to create a team of people that are from, different walks of life and even from all over the country. And they come together and they're able to just be one complete unit. So, man, I'm baffled at that, how you did that. That's the magic, man. That's whatever you have that does that, bottle it up and sell it, because there's a lot of coaches out there that want that stuff. So
yeah, no, I was so proud of them. And yeah, they are an amazing team. They're amazing players, and they battle. So that's all I can ask as a coach. You give me the effort, and I always tell them, we can. I don't care if you make mistakes on, like, we all gonna make mistakes on the grid. It's just gonna happen. It's just sports. But as long as you give me your effort, that's all I can ask. Obviously, you probably upset at yourself because I was a player, and when I was supposed to do 20 overhead squats and I only did 15, I was upset. Somebody picked it up. It was not my effort. I gave you all I got, but this kind of that day, that's all I had, and I'll still be upset and things like that. And I'm okay with you being a little upset, but I personally, as a coach, will not be upset at you. This is why somebody else can pick up the slack.
Yeah. And on the flip side, man, it's like sometimes you are supposed to do 20 overhead squats, and for whatever reason, you end up doing 25 just because like you're going at such a fast rate and like you fault, and that happens, and that will always happen. And almost as a coach, you almost want that to happen. You want them to flirt with that line of where is the smallest part where I can hit this rep and make it be a complete rep, but also speed my time up or be as efficient as possible. And you see a lot of heavy lifting guys and girls that can do the weight that get faulted just because they're trying to go out so fast. And that's part of it. And you end up doing 5 or 6 more reps than what you wanted to do or needed to do. But let's transition to this upcoming season. Obviously, 2024 is in the past. You guys are having the league is expanded, possibly expanding again. There's a lot up in the air, but we do know 2025 is going to be a great season for the United Grid League. As far as the Southwest Florida Sharks, what's what are you currently doing right now to prep for 2025? Is it, re-signing players? Is it seeing what their intentions are? Is it building for a combine? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no. So obviously, yes, resigning. Well, this resigning period actually ended yesterday. So now all players are free for all. So
Mm,
if you haven't resigned to a team, you can move teams if you wanted to.
there you go.
But right now we have 10 resigns as of now, but that's probably gonna grow as you probably talk to David. He's like doesn't want to sign, not because he doesn't want to. He just wants to delay a
He
little
wants
bit.
to read the paperwork, man. He
Yeah,
told
no,
me,
it's
like, I'm
fine,
going to law school. I want to read all the fine print.
which is fine. And there's some other ones that are also on the bubble, what we call them, but it's usually not because they don't. And I talked to them. So after the season, I talked to them individually. We did a debriefing. Hey, this is what I think about your season was. Tell me what you thought about the season, all that stuff. Everything was super positive. We also gave them a survey. They can just write anonymous, so they can just kind of say this was good, this was bad, all that stuff. And majority was very positive. So, but some other people have priorities. Someone like might be hurt. They want to try something new, different goals this year, different things. So this is kind of hobby. And also some players were like, this year I want to grow my business, or I want to start a family or something like that. And the expectations, because I did send some very strong expectations, and I don't want to what you call it, miss those expectations, put it that way.
Well,
So
you're not going to lower the standard just to hit someone else's expectations. The standard for the team is the standard for the
correct.
team. And
That's what they were felt like. They were felt like if they were not all the way in, they will leave. They will like uh, leave their teammates hanging or something like that. Not
well,
be on
and it's
to their teammates.
life is always going to life. And
Mhm.
it's not fair to that person, and it's not fair to the team to, if you're not 100% in, like, okay, let me know that. That way I'm aware, and I will find somebody else, or give me the opportunity to find somebody else that can be 100% in. Because in this sport, 70% or even 80% is not good enough. You have to be at your ultimate best. And if you're trying to vie for the 2025 championship, that, what it's like to come up short. So you know what it takes, and you got to have everybody fully committed. And so I get that. As far as the original team, I don't need names or anything, but was there anybody that isn't coming back? Like, I guess the better question is how many positions or roster spots are you going to have to fill?
Yeah. So right now, I think a great core of the players that were re-signed. The one of the big losses this year, and is going to be Valerie Gunning, which is she was one of the original Sharks. Well, not original, but she's been with the team for a while. Me and her she's my training partner. So we work out. I see her all the time. And so she's not coming back, and that's a big hit because she's kind of one of those that practice a lot to be a good player in grid, and she does a lot for us. And I know when I put her somewhere, she was just gonna get it done. So that's kind of one of the um, things. Quentin Embrioso, he's also said that he might not be coming back this year, so that's actually a big loss as well. He's still funny thing, just I don't know, this is a funny story. Um, he's his wife is the director of where my kids go to school.
Oh,
So I saw her this morning, and she's like, "I can't believe he told you he cannot do it. He'll do it. He'll do it. I'll, just keep bothering him." So he may
see,
come back. I don't know.
see, Fico, you know the right person to talk to get
Exactly.
things. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
So,
that
so
guy.
he may
He's
come back.
gonna he's Quentin's gonna go home to a shit storm. She's gonna get in his
Yeah.
ass. That's funny.
And like I didn't even brought it out. She came to me and was like, "I can't believe he told you he was not gonna do it." So I was like, "All right, well, he gave me a good reason." She was like,
Yeah.
nah, he can do it. He can do it. Just keep bothering him." All right, I'll do that. I'm good at that. But anyways, the obviously we have to resign. We're looking for a or two actually strength specialists for the male and females, both one of each. hopefully. But we do have some people that are strong. I'm looking for strong. Is that me? So like a 300-pound clean is like like nothing, at
That's
powerlifting. So.
that's pretty strong.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm looking for. Strong that is just gonna make other people weak. Like myself. Like,
What is your thought on that though? Because being strong is great, but it doesn't always necessarily translate into being a good grid player.
Yep.
So like, what is like, how do you evaluate that? You might see somebody send you a video of them, clean and jerking, 300 plus pounds, or snatching, upwards of 290 to 300. But like, how do you know that they can actually perform? Do you bring them out and go, hey, I want to see it, I want to put you through some tests? Or
yeah, we'll definitely do some testers. And usually the issue is when those people are super strong, the issue is the speed of it. It takes them a while to get the speed of it. So we have had probably 3 strong women and strong men together in our team, and they translate very well. And you can see Tom Soroka and some other people have translated very well. Usually because they're so strong that they don't care how they grab the barbell or how they're not technical. And that's usually good for grid. So same thing. So weightlifters take a little bit longer time. They are very technical, and once they get it, it just takes some practice. But the speed takes longer for them because they're so technical in there. So, but both have shown there can be very good grid players. It's just different things. What you will look for, what you train for. Like, if I see a weightlifter, I'm going to tell them to, hey, lower your weight. I don't care about you cleaning 350 right now. I want you to clean jerk or clean 275. But now I want you to give me this as fast as possible. Then we start building up the weight. When the opposite on that is a strong man or strong woman, they're usually not as flexible. So you're like, oh, you need to squat deeper, or your bar needs to the bar on a shoulder press, you need to hit your shoulder. It cannot just be hanging here, and things like that. So different things, but I think both can translate very well into the grid. Same as powerlifting.
Yeah, I always joked when I was coaching CrossFit. We had a weightlifting team in the same gym, and we got to be friends, and they were great people. And a lot of the CrossFitters would do the weightlifting classes, but I always would joke and was like, "Are y'all doing anything today?" Because every time you look over there, they're always just sitting around because it's very slow, and they're strong as hell, but there's not there's a lot of rest period, and there's a lot of because it's very technical, and you want to make sure everything's set up, everything's proper, and you're hitting every position that you need to. So I do feel you when you're like, man, I just need somebody that is strong as hell and doesn't care about the technicality of grabbing the barbell. They just grab it and let it rip.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you're talking about 30 or 40% less than your max, just walk up to the bar. You could throw it around. You're going to be able to pick it up. That's not the issue. I need you to do it 8 or 9 times and pretty fast.
Yeah, one of the most impressive things I see on the grid was Anthony Furman. He was a 2-time world strongest. I don't know what division, but 2-time champion. Him doing the snatch ladder on grid. Dude, if you haven't seen that video, you need to go watch it. I think it's somewhere on Instagram. He does it in 30 seconds or something, and he muscle snatched the whole thing because he didn't know how to snatch. I was like, just pick it up from the ground and just put it on your head. And that's what he did. And it was 265 muscle snatch, and he never snatched before. So
that is strength that I will never know, but
I
always would love to know what it's like and to just walk up to a barbell that heavy and just it feels weightless. It's like when you hit a good snatch. When you hit a good snatch and you hit all 3 positions and it just the bar's floating and you catch it and you're like, man, that was a good lift.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to feel that on a weight like that every time.
Every time. Yeah.
Well,
But no,
Fico, man.
I was going to say the next things players wise, but then we also run into sponsors. So 2025, that's kind of where we're going from now. Sponsors. Right now we have 2 sponsors after now, so it's looking okay. The 2025, we're looking for more, but that's kind of what it is. So we're just full throttle into 2025. We're gonna have our first team meeting here on the end of February. Oh no, sorry, the end of January, early February. Our first meeting, and yeah, so making sure have a full roster and
When do
sponsor.
you want to have a finalized full roster? What in your head, like what? When
I
do you
rather
want?
want to have it as soon as possible. I know we always wanted to leave a couple. I always leave a couple of spots, but we can have 20 players on a roster. We only play 16 on a match, but we can have up to 20. So technically, if I have 16, 8 males, 8 females, I'm good. I can play, but I others have more. So in theory, by the end of the next 2 weeks, I can have the majority of the players that I will be signing here, at least 16. And then I can leave a couple of them just in case somebody else comes later on, like a big name or somebody that really wants to play. We can always have a spot for them.
For sure, for sure. Well, before you run, anything you want to plug or promote?
Nah, just the Sharks and the Grit League. I mean, there's nothing really on my side personally that I need to plug, but just stay tuned for the 2025 season. There are some couple of surprises and announcements that could be very exciting. Nothing concrete yet, but it could be very, very exciting. We are, I think, the season is growing, the league is growing. So this 2025 season, I think, is going to be a stepping stone of what's up to come.
Absolutely. Well, Fico, man, I wish you the best. Good luck with the 2025 season. Hope you fill the roster today. I hope you get it
There you
done
go.
today as early as possible. You guys get after it, and who knows? Like this, you got the workings for another magical season, man. So good luck. If there's anything I can do for you, man, just reach out.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. That's Fico Gomez, owner, coach, ex-player of the Southwest Florida Sharks of the United Grid League. If you like hearing Fico's story or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like and share the podcast on Facebook, retweet us on X, listen and subscribe wherever you stream your podcasts. As always, comments, ratings, feedback, thumbs up, hearts, hugs, love. We'll take it all. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Another Grit and Grind show. We're going to be talking to Orlando Aces star Ryan DeMatti. So you don't want to miss it. This has been the In Off the Bench podcast, Grit and Grind show. Strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.